Pennsylvania folks are traveling down to Dixie's sunny shore. From Atlantic to Pacific, gee, the traffic is terrific. Oh, there's no place like home for the holiday.
Oh, thank you.
Wasn't a hint.
Yeah, I'm going, yes.
We're getting ready to talk to a lot of people.
We are. Okay. Here we go. Proceed. I'd briefly like to, can't hear? Can you hear? I can't hear myself. Before we proceed, I'd briefly like to turn the meeting over to one of our outstanding students who will receive the President's Award tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the dais Paloma Michael from Valverde Early College High School.
Thank you, Ms. Woodruff, and good evening, everyone. My name is Paloma Michel, and I am a junior at Valle Verde Early College High School. It is my honor and pleasure to call this meeting to order. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the Ysleta Independent School District's meeting of the Board of Trustees. Whether you're here to address the board or to celebrate the accomplishments of those being honored here this evening, we appreciate that you have taken the time to join us. We invite you to share your comments with the board during the public comment portion of our meeting. The public comment sign-up cards show the rules for participating in the public comment portion of our meeting. We remind everyone that this is a board meeting often attended by students and ask that we conduct ourselves in a manner that best represents the values and traditions of the Ysleta Independent School District. Please turn off or silence all cell phones, tablets, and other electronic devices, and thank you for your attendance. This meeting of the Board of Trustees is called to order at 6:04 p.m. We have a quorum with Carlos Bustillos, Richard Cudier, Sotero Ramirez, Cruz Ochoa, Mike Rosales, and myself, Connie Woodruff. Catherine Ysleta advised she was unable to attend this week's meetings. Trustee Ochoa, would you lead us?
Thank you, Ms. Woodruff. It has become a tradition to honor our nation at each of our board meetings by presenting the colors and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and then posting the colors. The colors tonight are being presented by the Junior ROTC Color Guard from J.M. Hanks High School. The color guard commander is Cadet Luisa Loya. The other color guard members are Cadet Daniela Vasquez, Cadet Luis Orozco, and Cadet Artis Covington. The pledge leader is Julian Ibarra, a cadet from JM High School, JROTC. Will you please stand for the presentation of the colors, the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance, the Texas Pledge of Allegiance, and a moment of silence. Please remain standing until the cadets have departed. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now please join me in the pledge to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Dr. Delatorre, do you have recognitions this evening?
Madam President, members of the board, guests, we have several presentations this evening. I'll turn it over to Ms. Patricia Ayala, our Chief Communications Officer, and she'll make the introductions.
Good evening, President Woodruff, members of the board, Superintendent De La Torre. We have several recognitions for you this evening. At this time, we ask that you please come to the front of the dais for the presentations. And audience members, we please remain seated until the recognitions are complete. Our first recognition is in honor of Valle Verde Early College High School junior, Paloma Michelle. Paloma participates in organizations that include the STEM Club, National Honor Society, and the Garden Club, where she works with other students throughout the year to beautify the school's exterior with sunflowers and other vegetation. But Paloma's most significant contribution this year extends far beyond the walls of Valle Verde. When a devastating earthquake hit Mexico in September, Paloma's heart went out to the victims because she spent much of her childhood in Mexico. When she saw a Facebook post about a love note discovered among the ruins by a firefighter, it became her call to action. She organized a school drive to collect items for quake survivors and was able to gather 6 truckloads of donated items that included personal care products, diapers, first aid kits, canned goods, and water. We commend Paloma for her initiative, her generosity, and spirit for community service. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to our President's Award recipient, Paloma Michel. Paloma is accompanied by her principal, Mr. Paul Covey. I do want to announce that any parents who would like to take pictures, you can go ahead and come to the front. Let's hear it again for Paloma. Our second recognition is in honor of Eastwood and Hanks High School runners who competed in the state UIL cross-country championships last month in Round Rock. Hanks High School sophomore Michael Abeta captured the silver in the 5A division. Also participating in the state meet was senior Andrea Abeta, a top 15 finisher at the regional cross-country meet. Ladies and gentlemen, from Hanks High School, please welcome Michael Abeta, and Andrea Abeta. The students are accompanied by assistant coach, Ms. Brittany Delk, head coaches, Mr. Norman Phillips and Ms. Kim Gomez, and principal, Ms. Gloria Spencer. Let's hear it again for the Hanks Knights. In the 6A division, the Eastwood High School boys cross-country team took third place at the state championships after winning both the district and regional UIL championships. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our championship Eastwood High School boys cross-country team, beginning with Gabe Armijo, Eddie Gallegos, Pedro Guerra, Anthony Molina, Elias Perez, Juan Olmos, and Kane Quiñones. The students are accompanied by head coach, Mr. Michael McLean, and principal, Mr. David Boatwright. At this time, the Eastwood cross-country team will present our Board of Trustees and Superintendent de la Torre with commemorative UIL championship medals. Put them on. You all will be champions. Keep smiling. Let's hear it again for the Eastwood Troopers. Our third recognition is in honor of 3 Ysleta YISD marching bands that made district history this year when they all qualified for the 5A UIL State Marching Band Competition. The competition, which took place in San Antonio last month, saw Hanks High School finish in 15th place, followed by Bel Air High School in 19th place, while Del Valle High School placed 34th. Their performances inspired a sense of pride within the district and the city, and we commend them on their dedication, hard work, and musical talents. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Bel Air High School Big Red Pride Marching Band, please welcome drum majors Sarina Condiff, Autumn Russell, and Belana Casillo. Guard captains Kimberly Favela, and Karina Castillo. They are accompanied by band directors, Mr. Manny Talamantes, Mr. James Cordova, Ms. Sarah Candelaria, and Mr. Ben Perez. Also with us is Assistant Principal, Mr. Wes Mottinger, and Principal, Mr. Charlie Garcia. Let's hear it again for the Highlanders. From the Del Valle High School Conquistador Marching Band, please welcome drum majors Lindsay Marquez, Carlos Gonzalez, and Ashley Campos. Let's hear it for Guard Captains Denise Baeza and Ashley Caballero. They are accompanied by band directors Mr. Armando Martinez, Mr. Keith Morales, Mr. Robert Hayden, and Mr. Matthew Fernandez. Also with us tonight is Assistant Principal, Mr. Gerardo Gomez. We should also hear it for Mr. Antonio Acuna, who just wants to tweet but doesn't want to go up. Mr. Acuna, please join us. He's bashful. Let's hear it for the Conquistadores. And now from the Hanks High School Silver Knights Marching Band, please welcome drum majors Nikki Melendez, Sachelle Valenzuela, and Vivian Rodriguez. We also have dance captains Rebecca Ornelas and Viridiana Shan. Assistant band directors, Mr. Calvin Edwards and Ms. Cassie Cardenas. Band directors, Mr. Horacio Gomez and Mr. Doug Brown. They are accompanied by Principal Ms. Gloria Spencer. Let's hear it for the Knights. Our final recognition is a triple honor for Valle Verde Early College High School, which has placed Ysleta YISD in the national and international spotlight this fall with its outstanding academic program and leadership. This fall, Valle Verde was among 11 campuses in Texas and the only public high school, in West Texas to be named an Apple Distinguished School through 2019 for continuous innovation in learning, teaching, and school environment. This is the third consecutive time Valle Verde has won this designation, which was awarded this year to only 400 schools in 26 countries. As if this international honor wasn't enough, Valle Verde also took its well-deserved place on the national stage in Washington, D.C. last month when it received the 2017 National Blue Ribbon School Award from the United States Department of Education. This is one of the most coveted prizes in both public and private education. It is awarded only to the top schools in the nation that have successfully created safe, welcoming, and high-performing campuses. Valle Verde is now the 11th Ysleta Independent School District campus to join the ranks of National Blue Ribbon schools nationwide. Now we come to the third and final honor of the evening for Valle Verde Early College High School, more specifically for its principal, Mr. Paul Covey. Of the 342 schools that won a Blue Ribbon Award this year, the Department of Education selected 8 principals to win the 2017 Darrell H. Bell Award for outstanding school leadership and successfully guiding students and schools to excellence. Among those 8 awardees was our very own Paul Covey. He was the only principal in the state of Texas to win the Bell Award, which was presented to him in Washington, D.C. the day before the National Blue Ribbons School ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a big round of applause to congratulate Mr. Covey and the Ysleta Independent School District's newest Blue Ribbon School, Valle Verde Early College High School. Here representing Valle Verde and accepting their numerous awards are Writing Center Director, Ms. Angelica Villalobos, (2017) Ysleta YISD Top 10 Teacher of the Year, Ms. Laura Favela, Assistant Principal, Ms. Laura Widner, President's Award winner, Paloma Michelle, and Valle Verde's very own, Mr. Paul Covey. Let's hear it one more time for the Spartans. Thank you. This concludes our recognitions for this evening.
Well, I get it from the couch.
Agenda. Let's hold it down and see if it comes up.
Then go ahead and clear. We will now have the public hearing on the School Fiscal Integrity Rating System of Texas, School First, report by Lindley Leeper.
Good evening, President Woodruff, members of the board, and Dr. De La Torre. This evening, I have a presentation on the Financial Integrity Rating System, otherwise known as FIRST. Because many of you will be seeing this for your first time, I want to give you a brief introduction and some context. First of all, TEA and Education Code Section 39 mandate participation in this transparency initiative. TEA actually prepares the report and then requires us to present it to you and open a forum for the public to comment and ask questions. As you can see, TEA compares the last 2 audited financial statements and the reports, as well as additional disclosures related to interactions between the superintendent, board members, and the district. And then, obviously, we have the public hearing this evening. And just to toot the district's horn, and I didn't have much to do with this because I've only been here 18 months, but since 2004, when the initiative was implemented, the district has received the highest rating every year of superior achievement. And so here is a determination of our final rating and how it was calculated. As you can see, there are 5 indicators to begin with, and a district must answer yes to all of these indicators. A no answer renders a failing grade. The indicators 6 through 15 are based on point values, and you can see that in 2016-17, it required 60 points just to pass and 31 points in the prior fiscal year. Our score this year was 98 out of 100 points, and last year was 94 out of 100. As you can see, that yields a grade of superior achievement. And I just have one more slide. These are the additional required disclosures. It's the superintendent's contract. It talks about reimbursements to the superintendent and board members by the district, as well as any outside compensation received by the superintendent, gifts received by the executive officers or board members, and then business transactions between the district and the board. This report is linked from the homepage of our website. At the very bottom, you can scroll down, and the heading says Financial Transparency. You will see our reports for the last 3 years, I believe, as well as hyperlinks for every one of these additional attachments, should you wish to review them. And included at the back of this presentation, I'm not going to go through each of these indicators that TEA has prepared, but we have included all 15 individual indicators. There are hard copies of the presentation available for the public, and then when you're ready, you can open the public hearing for any questions or comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now have the public hearing on the Integrity Rating System of Texas. Is there any public comment? Is there any board comment? Just making sure. If there's no further comment, I'll close the hearing. We will now have the hearing on the Texas Academic Performance Report by Terry Hernandez.
Madam President, members of the board, if I may point out, we've got all of our great school principals here this evening from all 7 professional learning communities to demonstrate their support of the academic information that you're about to receive. I want to thank them for taking time from their busy schedule and attending this evening, as well as our directors who I see out there. Appreciate it. In addition to Terry, we're going to have Luisa Baeza Aguirre. She's going to come up and present later, and then it'll follow up with Dr. Otero, who will talk a little bit about our students with special needs, and I want to thank them for being here this evening as well.
Good evening. Tonight we are presenting the Texas Academic Performance Report, commonly referred to as the TAPER. We are required by law to present the report within 90 days of receiving the final TAPER with our official results. And these are the statutes governing the TAPER reporting. The following are the required components of the TAPER. It must include academic performance, district accreditation status, PEIMS financial standard reports, violent or criminal incidents report, school violence prevention and violence intervention policies, results from evaluations under Safe and Drug-Free Act, Class of 2015 high school graduates' performance in higher education institutions, and campus goals and performance objectives and targets. This next slide is a breakdown of demographics in comparison to other districts in our region. As you can see, we have the second highest percentage of economically disadvantaged students. In our English language learners, we're kind of at the lower end, and we have the highest percent of special education students in the region. First, we'll take a look at academic performance. This is the 2017 STAR percent rated approaches grade level. It includes reading, which includes English 1 and 2, math, which includes Algebra 1, we have writing, science, which includes biology, and social studies, which also includes U.S. history. As you can see, our district outperformed both the state and the region in reading, math, writing, and science. In U.S. history and in social studies, the scores were very comparable. Here's a further breakdown of approaches by grade level in comparison to other districts in our region. We have the top scores in all EOC assessments, as well as 4th, 5th, and 6th grade math. 8th grade reading, science, social studies, as well as 7th grade math are slightly below the state average. In MEET's grade level, we are very close to both the region and the state across the board, being slightly higher in math and writing. In master's grade level, the state is consistently higher with the exception of math. And this next slide looks at progress. The first chart shows the percent met progress in reading and math, and the second one shows the percent exceeded progress. Again, the percentages are comparable with Ysleta being higher in math. This slide shows 4-year and 5-year graduation rates. Both rates show improvement. You can see the first one on the 4-year graduation rate, we went from 89.2 to 89.8%, and in the 5-year graduation rate from 90.2% to 92.4%. The next graph, of course, the smaller the better on this one. We're talking about dropout rates. On both, we are well below the state average. From the class of 2015 to the class of 2016, there was a slight increase, but on the 5-year dropout rate, we decreased significantly. In college readiness, the region outperformed us, and the state is catching up for our recommended high school plan and the DAP graduates. In the advanced placement and dual credit completion, the region is slightly higher, and the state caught up to us and surpassed us in 2016.
Can I just comment real quick before we move on? On the college readiness, is there a reason why we don't, because I was talking to Mr. Basurto this week, and is there a reason why we don't look at TSI as one of our indicators, given that that's really the truest, best indicator of how college ready our high school students are when graduating? And it's part of the TAPER report?
A TSI is only part of the indicators that are used, and so a TA combines TSI with SAT and dual credit AP performance to create the overall number that we look here. And so TSI is an important piece, but it's only one part of the calculation. So instead of breaking it down by small pieces, we use the aggregate, as the state does.
Because I guess my biggest problem with it is when we look at our scores for our EOCs, we're in the 90s for most of everything except for English in the 67s. But then when we look at our percentage of students as far as their scores for SATs and TSI, which is truly the best indicator of how well they're going to do in a college level, our scores don't match up really well. I mean, they're not even comparable. And so I was wondering if maybe we can do an effort as a district to start including that in the data that's provided to our high schools so that way they can see, okay, great, we're doing that STAR, but STAR is the bare minimum. I mean, if you look at the passing rates for STAR, anybody that looks at the passing rates, they're in the 50s and 60s for approaching. For meeting, it's about the 70s or 80s at the lowest. When we're looking at TSI and SAT, they're a lot more challenging. If we set our standard at the TSI and SAT, wouldn't that boost our STAR anyway?
I think that you'll find that the EOC master's level performance is consistent with what you see on our SATs and TSI.
Yes, but if you look at our percentage of students who actually master, it's incredibly low for the most part.
That's correct.
So what I was saying is maybe we need to provide more data to our high schools and start actually analyzing that data so that way they're aware of, okay, isn't the goal of the district every student that graduates should be college ready, whether they decide to go to college or not, that should be the goal. And if they choose to go to college, great. If they don't, that's their choice. But every student that graduates, I would like them to be college ready.
That's right, and there isn't a principal sitting out there at the high school that isn't aware of their scores.
No, exactly, and that's what I'm saying is maybe we need to provide them more of that data. Instead of just STAR, we need to also provide SAT, the average SAT of your students, the average TSI score of your students, and just give them that data so that they can be aware of it. That's all I'm saying.
That's what I'm trying to say is that they do. They
do?
provide them with multiple reports. High school principals are you provided with master's level data, SAT data? All the data is available to them. This goes back to the state.
Okay.
This just goes back to the state. This isn't what they rely on to do their work. They rely on multiple academic indicators, including those that you've mentioned.
Now, Dr. Diana Otero will provide you with some information and data on the academic performance of our special education students.
President Woodruff, board members, and Dr. De La Torre, I'm here to provide you some information of the demographics within our population and some of our services that we provide and some of our successes. And so what you see here, currently we have 40,959 students enrolled in YISD. We have a 12% population of students identified with special needs. Most of them are being served currently in the general ed setting. Okay. What you see here is the population divided by settings. And what I want to note here is that out of the 5,013 students that we serve, 3,953 of them are being served in general ed more than 50% of the day. What? We provide, as mandated by IDA, we provide a continuum of services. And what I want to note here is that we have a strong philosophy of inclusive practices, and we attribute most of our successes to that philosophy. We serve kids in a variety of ways in general ed. We support, facilitate. We have many co-taught classes. We have early childhood programs, the collaboratives where students are being served with their general ed peers. The next report will show you that because of our philosophy, and we believe that because we've had that strong inclusive philosophy, that our successes are attributed to that, and we can show that as evident by the TAPER report. Our students with special needs have outperformed every district in this area and the state as well in most content areas. I believe social studies and science are still, there's a great deal of improvement that needs to happen, but But if you look at the EOC scores, they're also outperforming all other students with special needs in this area. And while there is much need, or there's much improvement that can be had, we still want to emphasize that we are moving in the right direction. If we're outdoing their other districts, I think because of our strong philosophy of inclusion, that we are, certainly going to where we need to be. And so, any questions about this? All right. I will turn it over now to Ms. Baeza.
Good evening. In July, we gave you an update as to how the state of the bilingual education department was and our specific data on there. So this is just a reference of the 25% of the ELL population that we have here in the district. And this is just a reminder of what our program looks like in terms of dual language. You're going to see where we've really modified it since the academic school year of 2015, where we want to make sure that we have as many students as possible meet the exit criteria within a 5-year time span. And so some of the things that we're doing, obviously, is trying to reduce that percentage of long-term ELLs and graduate more of our students under the HB5 biliteracy acknowledgement, which requires making sure that we meet exit criteria in those places. And then continue, obviously, with our dual language international programs as well. And on the next slide, mine's really brief because I know I've already shared everything with you all. We just kind of wanted to talk about some of the things that we're doing specifically in our program. We are in our second year with GEL and WELLS, which is Journey into English Language Learners, and Working with English Language Learners, 2 programs that we're helping the teachers work distinctly with transitioning from the Spanish language into the English language and using what they come to us with, their gifts, so that they can make the exit criteria. We're also in our second year with Achieve in English 3D. As far as LPAC, our work continues. For the first time in many years, we were error-free as far as all of our reporting and documentation that we turned in for Snapshot this year, so that's something we're very excited about. And of course, continuing aligning our programs. As far as innovation is concerned, we continue with our student showcase. So you'll see that little picture down on the right hand. We took a group of our ELL students in middle school and high school to the La Cosecha training conference in New Mexico. So we're trying to build leadership within our English language learners. And then the picture in the middle is our student showcase. And we'll continue with that in January of 2018. And then our accountability is the areas that we need to work on a little bit more so than some of the others will be continued efforts in middle school. And so just like Dr. Otero and all of the other information that you're going to see, the green indicates where we're outscoring those within our region, and the yellow is where we need to improve. And you'll see it's some of our 8th grade reading, 7th grade writing, and our 8th grade science and social studies, and all other areas we're outscoring our peers within the other districts for our ELL population. Okay, thank you.
All right, next we have our PIMS financial standard reports. Ms. Liepert already gave you some financial information, but we were required to include this in the taper presentation. On this slide, you can tell that we depend largely on state and federal funding, whereas the state relies more on local taxes. And in expenditures, we're pretty much the same as the state, with the exception that we spend more on instruction. The next area of the taper is violent and criminal incidents. The following is a summary of reasons for incidents of a violent or criminal nature. It shows the percentage of our student population that are involved in these incidents. As you can see, the total is a very small percent, less than 1%, so we are a very safe district. And this next slide is a comparison of incidents between 2016 and 2017. The number of overall incidents decreased slightly from 358 to 350 from 2016 to 2017. The final part of our presentation is on the higher education performance of Ysleta ISD high school graduates. These students have to be enrolled in college right after graduation, and they must be enrolled in a Texas school, either a 2-year or a 4-year institution. The percentages are somewhat steady at each of the campuses, as you can see, and the differences are mainly having to do with socioeconomics than as opposed to academics. And if you would like to see the complete academic performance report, you can go to the YISD webpage where we have posted it for everybody. And that concludes our presentation on the annual Texas Academic Performance Report. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for your time, and I would also like to recognize Dr. Raul Medin, who is our Coordinator of Accountability, AKA Data Wizard, and he spends countless hours preparing all of our charts, our graphs, presentations, and any data that the campuses, principals, associates, anybody needs in the district. So, thank you, Raul.
Is there any public comment?
Yes, we have.
No. For
On this
this report, yes. Is there any board comment? Mr. Ramirez?
These reports reflect numbers and the activity of our district. However, it doesn't reflect the hard work that the leaders in this room have put in to make this happen. And so to Dr. LaTorre and to the board and to our principals and assistant principals out there in the audience, thank you so much on behalf of our students, on behalf of our community, for making a difference. Please take back to your teachers, please take back to your staff that they're the ones that make it happen. You know, we talk about leadership. Well, leadership happens in the four corners of the classroom, as Dr. LaTorre reminds us routinely. We are never cavalier in this district about education. We take nothing for granted. And the one thing that the public needs to know about this is that there are no quick fixes, there are no pills, there's no magic programs that we can go purchase. This is hard work by teachers, this is hard work by principals, this is hard work by staff that makes a difference. And so, again, on behalf of our students, on behalf of our learning communities, thank you so much to all of our leaders out here and back at their home campus.
You want to speak?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what you just said, Mr. Ramirez, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank you for your dedication, your hard work, and it's showing. We're not to where we want to be, but we're all well on our way. And it's not an easy road, and we appreciate the fact that you've undertaken and accepted that responsibility. We ought to be real proud of you, which we are, and we look forward to continuing the progress. Thank you very much, and continue the hard work.
Just real quick.
Mr. Cudero?
I just want to go back to my previous comment before. I want you all to understand that I believe we're doing an outstanding job as a district, but my goal for the district, I think the goal of the entire board, is to set the bar for the entire state, not just for locally, but for the entire state. And so while we need to always recognize our achievements, and that's incredibly important, and as an educator, I know how hard principals and teachers work on a daily basis, but I also need to understand that we need to understand our weaknesses and how we can get better. And so while I think we're doing a great job, we can always improve. And what I want all of us to do is to make sure that when our kids leave our district, if they choose to, they can get into a college class and be able to walk in there and take a college class and be successful, not to take remedial classes, not to feel like they aren't prepared for it. So while we want to always recognize our achievements, I want to make sure that us as a district support you all as educators and making sure that you have the tools and the information necessary to be successful and to have every one of our students graduate college ready. And that's all I want for all of our students. And I think that's what all of you as principals and educators want, the same thing. And so I thank you for your hard work. And I hope you recognize that the comments I was making was not an attack on you, but more than anything else, a recognition that we need to do better because we can't rest on our morals. We have to do the best that we can and set the example for the entire state.
So I'm just going to echo the same thing that you've been hearing. We're so proud of the hard work that your guys are doing, and And we just couldn't do our job without having such a strong school system here. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And words are very small, but thank you very much for everything you do. Thank you. Secretary Rosales, do we have request? Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I need to close the hearing. I'll close our hearing now. Secretary Rosales, do we have requests for citizens' input?
Yes, we do, Chairman. I would like to ask Ms. Leslie Rivas to step forward. The topic is Bel Air girls soccer. There she is.
Or maybe just gonna defend the coach. It may be in support of the coach.
May I just set the ground rules? You have 3 minutes to express your concerns.
Yes, sir.
All right?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Well, good afternoon. I'm here on behalf of Bel Air Girls Soccer to address the issue being made towards our coach and to state that us personally as a team and as a community from Bel Air don't agree with the accusations that are being made against him. I've known Lugo for 3 years now, and he has never done anything to disrespect any of the soccer players, boys or girls. He is tough on us, but he disciplined us to our breaking point. The fact that some girls' breaking points are different than others does not fall on him. He does try to make us better, and he has changed the program drastically. Before he was there, the girls' soccer program was a joke. He got there and changed everything, and you can look at our statistics to prove it. One of the girls is accusing him of emotionally scarring her, but she was never part of the program. She was never coached by him personally. She was never involved in the varsity program. She was involved in the soccer program, but not in the varsity program. Lugo never coached her directly. She said that she was never given a fair trial to try out, but the thing is that Lugo was left by himself with over 62 girls, and the fact that he didn't have enough staff to help him does not fall on him. It falls on either the school or lack of communication between the staff, in our opinion. According to Ms. Rodriguez, disturbing our practice, she said that her daughter was feeling suicidal. My concern is that if her daughter, in fact, was feeling like that, why was she in our field disturbing our practice instead of taking care of her daughter like she should have? Now, Lugo wasn't aware of any of this until it was brought to his attention, so I don't think it's fair that he is being accused of all of this stuff, and no concrete proof has been brought to anyone's attention enough to fire him. So I think that this issue should be dismissed and that our season should continue as planned and this issue should be dropped. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Ms. Ana Gonzalez, and her topic is bullying. Ms. Gonzalez, good evening.
Good evening.
You have 3 minutes to express your concerns,
Yes, sir.
and we appreciate your being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Members of the school board, my name is Ana Gonzalez. I am the mother of a Bel Air High School student. My daughter has been bullied by a coach at this school. Due to his unprofessional and demeaning treatment towards my daughter suffered depression, anxiety, and had thoughts of harming herself. This coach not only called my daughter worthless, but also humiliated her and ostracized her in front of her peers. Even after bringing my concerns to his attention, to campus administrators, district directors, and associate superintendents, the mistreatment continued. An investigation was conducted after speaking to 3 associate superintendents, and I have in hand a copy of the findings. The evidence indicates the allegations made against this coach were substantiated, and yet to my knowledge, he continues coaching. Members of the board, I am not only here to speak for my daughter, but also for those who are fearful to speak up. My question to you is, what are you going to do about this? I, as well as the public, need to know what steps you will take to reassure no other student is bullied by this coach. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez.
Thank you.
The order of the business shall be set out as in this posted agenda unless changed by consensus of the board. During the board workshop, there were no items pulled for separate consideration. Are there any items you'd like to pull off the agenda, consent agenda, or policy agenda for a separate vote? Thank you. The agenda will be considered the consensus of the board. We'll move on to the required annual report of board continuing education hours, presented by myself. Annually, at the last regular board meeting of the Board of Trustees held during a calendar year, the current president shall announce the name of each board member who has completed the required continuing education, exceeded or is deficient in the required continuing education as of the date of the meeting. Completing the annual required continuing education is a basic obligation and expectation of any sitting board member under the State Board of Education rule. In addition, each trustee has been provided a copy of the framework for school board development found in policy DDB. Connie Woodruff met the requirements in Tier 1, exceeded requirements in 2 and Tier 3. Sotero Ramirez met the requirements in Tier 1, exceeded requirements in Tier 2 and Tier 3. Mike Rosales met the requirements in Tier 1, exceeded requirements in Tier 2 and Tier 3. Carlos Bustillos exceeded requirements in Tier 1, 2, and 3. Richard Cudier exceeded requirements in Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. Catherine Ysleta exceeded requirements in Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. Cruz Ochoa exceeds requirements in Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. Dr. Delatorre, do you have any reports?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, we continue to work closely with the City of El Paso's public health department. As you know, on or around November 26th, an individual at Hanks High School, after meeting with their physician, was diagnosed and treated for active tuberculosis. Pursuant to law, that physician must make a report to the health department. The health department then assumes responsibility for the entire investigation. We worked closely with them on a plan, both a communication plan as well as the execution of a plan to make certain that all students at Hanks High School are safe. This week, both faculty and students who may have had close contact with this individual will be tested. The testing will conclude by the end of the week. Those results should be available to those individuals on December 22nd. We certainly hope that no one tests positive. However, if they should test positive, then our work will continue with the Public Health Department at the City of El Paso. The health and safety of our students is of the utmost importance in the Ysleta Independent School District, and we'll continue to keep not just the board, but all stakeholders aware and updated relative to this matter. Our pre-K centers and elementary schools, principals will soon begin distributing Christmas gifts to their neediest students thanks to our Giving Tree program here at the central office. Pleased to report that we were able to lighten 194 children's Christmas this year. I want to thank everyone here at the district office and everyone who participated for their generosity, compassion, and goodness in providing these gifts for these students. And then lastly, I'd like to remind everyone that our last day of classes before winter break is Thursday, December 21st. School will resume again on Monday, January 8th. We hope everyone has a safe, joyous, and restful holiday with family and friends. That would conclude it. I just want to point out one other thing that you may not be aware of, but Buford Thompson Construction recently gave over $2,000 worth of gifts and resources to one student from each of the 7 feeder patterns. That was a $200 gift card and a gift, and they also took care of a very needy family in our Riverside Learning Community who's currently living in one of those little camper shells with 4 children. So we, I think, should count our blessings when we think things aren't going well. So happy holidays to all of you. That concludes my report, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Rosales, did you want to say?
I just want to thank Dr. De La Torre and all his staff for addressing these issues as they come up. It takes real professionals to look at the situation and then handle it the way that you guys have been doing it. And I appreciate your responsiveness, your approaches, and the fact that we keep the public out there well aware of what we're doing with a tremendous amount of transparency.
Thank you, sir.
And that to me means a lot. And for the taxpayer out there, it should mean also a lot. We thank you. As these issues happen, you respond. And I have the greatest confidence in the fact that whatever might happen, you're going to respond and do it correctly.
Yes, we are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The order, the agenda has been approved. May I have an electronic motion and second on the consent agenda items listed on this agenda as recommended by administration?
President Woodruff, I move to approve the consent agenda items listed on this agenda as recommended by the administration.
And we have a second by Mr. Coudier. Everybody can vote. Is it working? We need some help there. Looks like we've got 3. we go. Okay, that's approved 6-0. Okay, moving on to the policy action items. May I have an electronic motion and a second on the policy agenda items listed on this agenda as recommended by TASB and administration?
President Woodruff, I move to approve the policy agenda items listed on this agenda as recommended by TASB and administration.
And we have a second by Mr. Cudier. That's approved 6-0. Moving on to our action items. Action item number 1, reappointment of El Paso Central Appraisal District Board of Directors. Ms. Matheson collected each of your nominations for appointment of the EPCAD. The results are to reappoint Mike Rosales. Using your electronic hand, if you wish to make another nomination, please do so at this time. If there are no other nominations, may I have a motion?
President Woodruff, I move to approve the reappointment of Mike Rosales, the YISD Board of Trustees, to serve as a YISD representative on the 2018-19 EPCAD Board of Directors until December 31st, 2019, or until replaced or reappointed.
I have a second by Mr. Cudier. That's approved 5-0 with 1 abstention. You can do that, yes. You can vote for yourself, but that's okay. Okay, that's fine, absolutely. Okay, action item number 2, reimbursement resolution to reimburse the general fund for expenditures under modification to an energy savings performance agreement with ABM Building Services, LLC. Using your electronic hand, is there any discussion? Okay, if not, may I have a motion?
President Woodruff, I move to approve a reimbursement resolution to reimburse the general fund for expenditures under amendment to Energy Savings Performance Agreement with ABM Building Services, LLC.
And we have a second by Mr. Cudier. That's approved 6-0. Action item number 3, approval of award of YISD solicitation number 218005 CSP Communications, Cabling, Network Electronics, and Wireless Network E-rate year 2018. Using your electronic hand, is there any discussion?
Ms. Woodruff, do we want to read that notation there in bold?
Is that, it needs to
Please.
be read then? I'm sorry, I saw the
that's okay.
asterisk, and so I need to read that. Okay,
Yes,
I'm
please.
sorry. We received a correction from administration. The corrected recommendation includes not to exceed annual amount of $1,500,000 from various funds with application for possible partial reimbursement from E-rate contingent upon final negotiations and in-house council review. Using your electronic hand, is there any discussion? If there's no further discussion, may I have a motion?
President Woodruff, I move to approve awards under YISD solicitation number 218005 CSP with vendors as shown on solicitation documents for communications cabling, network electronics, and wireless network E-rate year 2018 during the period of July 1st, 2018 to September 30th, 2019 for a not-to-exceed annual amount of $1,500,000 from various funds with application for possible partial reimbursement from E-rate contingent upon final negotiations and in-house counsel review.
Okay, I have a second by Mr. Cudier. And that is approved 6-0. Moving on to action item number 4, approval of award of YISD cooperative requisition for purchase of Thomas Manor Elementary School furniture. Using your electronic hand, is there any discussion? If there's no further discussion, may I have a motion?
President Woodruff, I move to approve the award of YSD cooperative requisition with Burco for the purchase of furniture for Thomas Manor Elementary School in amount not to exceed $950,000 from bond funds through a purchasing cooperative contingent upon Form 1295 certificate of interested parties.
And we have a second from Mr. Rosales. And that's approved 6-0. Action item number 5, ratification of award of YISD contract number 201-60303, dual credit partnership agreement with El Paso Community College to provide dual credit courses. Using your electronic hand, is there any discussion? If there's no further discussion, may I have a motion?
President Woodruff, I move to approve ratification of YISD contract number 201-60303 dual credit partnership agreement with El Paso Community College to provide dual credit courses in core areas for the period of 3 years from October 15, 2015, including payment of up to $250,000 per year in cost to the district for textbooks and use of any EPCC employed instructors in lieu of district teachers.
Mr. Rosales is the seconder on that motion. And it's approved 5-0 with 1 abstention. The Board of Trustees has determined that a closed meeting of the Board of Trustees is required to discuss the items set forth in the posted agenda for this date. Such closed meeting is authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Section 551.001, including but not limited to the sections and purposes covered by the following section of the Texas Government Code: 551.017, 72, 73, 74, 76, 82, 821, 83, and 84. Should any final action, decision, or vote be required with regard to any matter considered in closed session, the final action, decision, or vote shall be in the open meeting or at a subsequent public meeting with notice. The board will now move to the Rio Grande Room for closed session at 7:19. We made it. In this meeting at 8:04 with the following president: Carlos Bustillos, Richard Cudier, Sotero Jimenez, Cruz Ochoa, Mike Rosales, and myself, Connie Woodruff. So we're going to go on to action item number 1, litigation with Express Scripts, Inc. and HealthScope Benefits. May I have a motion? Okay, we'll move on to the second item, Texas Ethics Commission number SC-31509-156, special newsletter, spring 2015. May I have a motion?
President Woodruff, I move the board approves the resolution of this matter as discussed in closed session.
I have a second by Mr. Cudier. And that's approved 6-0. Number 3, Texas Ethics Commission number SC-315-12177, Communicator, Fall 2015. May I have a motion?
President Woodruff, I move the board approves the resolution of this matter as discussed in closed session.
And I have a second by Mr. Cudier. And that's approved 6-0. Do we have any announcements? If not, may I have a motion to adjourn? All right, there we go.